Hello and welcome to another episode of the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast, the number one Necromunda lore podcast this side of the 41st millennium. As always, I am Spamuel, and to my right, the multitudinously malfeasant Manvant, Nathan. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, mate. I'm so happy you were able to say that in one take. That was really well done.
Yes. It definitely wasn't 3 to 7 takes for that one there.
I'm not even going to ask about it because I don't think you're going to be able to describe it without saying the words. And I've already listened to you for 3 minutes trying to say those words. So I'm just going to go with, how you going, buddy?
Multitudinously malfeasant. Malfeasant.
Bom, bom.
Multitudinously malfeasant.
Explain it to me.
Well, multitudinously. Multitudinously.
And welcome to episode Derail. We're already off the rails because we're just trying to describe words.
That was actually sent to me by someone. I don't know what it means, all right? Someone sent it to me because I don't know how to use my thesaurus. But yes, I am well. Segue into the next topic. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just kicking along, doing lots of specialist game stuff at the moment. I'm fully I almost don't consider it a specialist game, but the old world has gripped me. Yes, it was definitely one of the games I played as a young teenager, and it has come back with a vengeance and all many funky special rules, and it's actually quite nostalgic. I find myself writing copious amounts of Orc and Goblin armor lists and a few other armies that I have, and I'm not going to say them because if Steve's listening, I don't want him to know. And yeah, I'm enjoying it, but it's very nostalgic, and I really do love it. I'm probably not putting as much time into the podcast because I'm embroiled in Legions Imperialis army lists, my Cadian doors. What do we end up calling them?
Your Cordians?
Cordians, that's it.
Cordians? Yeah.
My Cordians, my old world army lists. So I'm working on 3 different systems at the moment, and with about probably, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours worth of actual time to myself a week. So very, very busy with all things miniature based at the moment. How about yourself? How are you going?
I'm actually sitting here right now in disgust at how little time you have for Necromunda. Here I am, slaving over a Beastman army list. Yes, the old world has grabbed me rather swiftly, and I was going through some of my bits boxes, and I'm like, why do I have so many gores? And next thing you know, I'm looking at the old world sort of Forces of Evil book, and it was like, I could play some old world again because I've got Warriors of Chaos, Beastmen, Hordes of Chaos. I've got an Empire army. I've got my vampire counts. I'm just like, I'm probably going to need a box of those new Chosen though for my Chaos Warriors, and I'll need some new Chaos Warriors. But yes, apart from Necromunda, my entire life has been consumed by the old world, and
the red balloon syndrome kicking in quite nicely.
Yeah, very, very nicely. Let's be honest. Yeah, apart from that, I'm still doing my Chaos Militia, sort of chomping at those a little bit when I get some time. I think I've written about 400 different army lists for the old world, and yeah, apart from that, just podcast. And work. Oh yeah, and work and my wife and children and
the boring bits.
Yeah, the boring stuff.
But I realised I've never played you in a game of fantasy back in the day. We always played. I definitely played you in 40k,
We definitely played 40. Did we really never play fantasy together?
No, never did. I remember
Oh,
playing the video game Total War with you,
yeah.
and then I gave you
Oh,
command of
yeah.
part of my army, and you completely got it destroyed. And I was
Yes,
like,
yes.
that probably wouldn't be a challenge if I took you on in a game of actual Warhammer Fantasy. So that's probably why
No.
I never did it.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Fine, fine. You know what? That's fine. You can make your orcs and goblins. I will
Yeah,
make just a whole mess of warriors of chaos, and we'll meet in the middle.
that's fine. I'll bring the fanatics, and you bring that plate armor that doesn't stand a chance against it.
Oh man! Also, speaking of goblins, just quickly derailing the number of people that have sent us messages about goblins in Necromunda and Skaven in Necromunda. Oh, it warms the cockles of my heart that people would just be like, "Wait, you also love Skaven in Necromunda? Here's 500 pictures of Skaven." And I'm listeners, Uncle Spamuel here. You send me as many pictures of Necromunda goblins, Necromunda Skaven as you want. I will never get sick of them. Keep them coming. Keep them
Yeah,
coming.
absolutely. Yeah. Necromunda goblins are a true proper place in my heart because that just leads to Necromunda squigs
Oh,
and
and
Necromunda
eventually the new,
mushrooms.
the eventual new campaign book, Squigamunda.
That would be brilliant.
It's
I
just a
would play
pit,
a
squig
Squigamunda.
v squig.
And just every so often a Mangler squig comes along and it's just
Yeah, just
all
eats
over Red Rider.
everyone.
Yeah,
Next round.
perfect. We've just come
Oh,
up with a game.
done, done.
Copyrighted,
Yeah,
back off James Workshop.
great episode. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. It can only go downhill from Squigamunda.
Squigamunda. Oh, just the name would make me want to play it.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
I'm in.
yeah, no, that's cool. Anyway, yeah. So that's what we've been up to. I guess we can talk a little bit about this episode. We're going to roll into talking about our next Hive Life episode, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably our most popular episode ever to this date. Not sort of excluding the Aranthian succession stuff, but our Hive Life episode definitely generated a lot of positive feedback and a lot of enthusiasm from the community, which was fantastic. And I will say, definitely one of the episodes I really enjoyed recording as well. It felt like the canvas was empty and we could just sort of go for it and let the imagination run wild. But yeah, definitely inspiring to see so many people have so much positivity about Hive Life that obviously we've brought it back and going to go into this one. Probably a little bit more of a different tact. We're trying to explore a few more different hives in this one. But yeah,
Like
excited to get into it.
different hives. I thought we were literally just talking about hive mortis again. This is not what I agreed to.
I thought we were doing Hive Secundus.
Oh,
We're not doing it.
oh no,
We're
no,
disappointing everybody again.
we're disappointing everyone. Well, last Hive Life we talked a lot about was it Hive Mortis and was it the Gothrel's Needle?
It was Gothrel's Needle, yeah,
Yeah.
the democratic state.
Oh,
Yes.
from a succulent Chinese meal to the disgusting reality of democracy. I can't believe they have that there. Ugh.
You know,
But,
you
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 know,
appreciate what you have when you can see how bad it is for the others in their democratic community.
that's right. I was actually thinking about that a little while ago, and the little spider servitors that, remember how he said
Yeah.
they just kick open your door and they're like, "Last vote." Honestly, that's my hell, being chased around by some spider servitor that's telling me I have to vote. If I don't get a democracy sausage, I'm not voting. All right? Go away, spider servitor. Oh,
So,
okay. For
I
people
like
who don't
your
understand the Australian voting process, um, you usually vote at like primary schools or like community halls and that sort of thing, and there's always someone doing a barbecue. So after you vote, you go and buy a democracy sausage. And I guess they have like grass or something for vegans, but they 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 give you the democracy sausage, and that's genuinely the only reason I vote. That, and if I don't vote, they will fine me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how well the democracy sausage tastes, especially like considering it's just a sausage in bread, but it tastes as good as the Bunnings sausage, which is also another Australian
honestly
thing.
top 3 sausages you'll ever get.
Yep.
Bunnings, democracy, and you're at a kid's birthday party and someone's had to go and buy a box of snags and bust open the barbecue because they haven't catered for me, who eats an entire plate of children's party pies by himself and refuses to share with the children.
Father of the year yet again.
Yeah. In my defense, that's only happened 6 or 7 times in the last couple of years that I've had kids. So
say your kids aren't 6 or 7, so you've just invited yourself to a couple of parties, have you?
I've gone to other parties. But we've digressed, which is a rare occurrence for us. Yes,
yeah, no, pretty rare for the pod. Yeah.
We are doing another Hive Live. Before this, we've got a couple of things we wanted to bring up.
So just something we want to add to the podcast is just talking about the community, really, and talking about members in the Necromunda / wargaming community and what they're doing and the influences they set for us, and hopefully how we influence other people as well. Definitely shout out to all the cults of the bolts out there. But
there's too many. There's too many. You might have actually genuinely started a cult.
Yes, I'm aware. There is a few people I need to respond to, which I've unfortunately been a bit slack with that, but I will get to you. Those asking for my opinions about things. It's going to cost you. But no, anyway. So, yeah, we're going to start a new community update section, which just will talk about things that we find inspiring. So it might just be, a post from Instagram, or it might be an event coming up. I guess you can all remember our forays into going to Necromunda last year. This will be similar in that vein. But on top of that, if you've got something that you want the wider community to see, so get in contact with us pretty much any way you can. We have our email which is Underhive Lorekeepers@gmail.com, or Instagram or Facebook or carrier tid pigeon, whatever you want.
Did you say carrier pigeon?
Yeah, I said carrier pigeon. Yeah, definitely carrier pigeon. I didn't say carrier tid pigeon. You're hearing things, mate.
I genuinely thought you said carrier tid pigeon.
I did. I was trying to gaslight you a little bit. Anyway, this is not about you and your insanity.
Okay. I thought I was going a bit strange there for a second.
But yeah, get in contact with us if you got something you want the rest of the community to see. It might be something minor. It might just be a gang you're working on, or a single miniature, whatever the case might be. Or if you've got an event you're running, or anything along those lines. We'd love to hear about it. We'd love to talk about it with the rest of the community and just sort of grow that interaction as a Necromunda loving community.
Well, 100%. That's literally how this started. It just came to, we love talking about Necromunda. We love talking about all things Necromunda. And as anyone who speaks to me on our social medias know, I love not doing my job and talking about Necromunda. I spend a lot of my day doing that. A lot of you are also to blame as to why I get into trouble so much for not doing my job, but that's another rant for another time. But yes, and if you guys have, like Nath said, gaming clubs, events, you just think, hey man, this is a really cool concept for a gang or concept for something we can do within our community, reach out to us. We are more than happy to just talk about it on the show. And one thing we want to make very, very clear is we want nothing in return for this. We just want you to send us the information and we're just going to talk about it. Like, this is one way we can just give back to the community by hopefully spreading the message of Necromunda a little bit further than it's already going.
Yes, spread it as the king of games.
Hashtag king of games. And one of the first things we're going to be talking about in regards to community updates is actually, I guess you'd call it an event. Would you call it a community movement? Worldwide revolution? And no, we're not talking about the reformation of the Pan-Pacific Empire under our immortal God Emperor Goblin Juve. I am talking about Scummathon, held by a mate of ours, Hive Market Minis on Instagram. Now, this event actually will be taking place from the 4th through to the 10th of March 2024. And the whole idea is for us hobbyists to do something we all love. And that's just kit bash and convert. So Hive Market Minis is throwing this event together, and there are going to be prizes in 5 specific categories. There's going to be Best in Show, Best Xenos, Most Pathetic, which I'm really looking forward to.
We have a chance.
Yeah, we have a chance. I'm thinking like if I can somehow make like us in like mankinis that are made of leather, but also like with razor sharp studs.
I definitely don't have those 3D printed at home of the two of us just sitting on my shelf. I promise you.
Yes, we definitely don't.
No, we don't actually. Yeah.
We don't. No, we should.
Anyway.
Though. We should. Anyone who wants to design those, love it. But also Scummathon. We've also got Most Arms, which come on, most arms, all the arms, and then Wildest Weapon. So
that's cool. Wildest Weapon.
Yeah, this is an opportunity for everyone to just make some insane minis. And the one thing that's been said here that I absolutely love, that actually gives you and me a chance here, the goal is quantity over quality. So this ain't a painting competition. Keep them grey. Keep them plastic. So I'm already in with a chance.
Yes, here we go. All 5 prizes.
Yes.
Under the Manvant.
Faith in Nath.
Faith in Nath, people.
So yeah, this is the sort of thing we're talking about. Get on Instagram, check out Hive Market Minis, hashtag Scummathon. Like, this is something we are both really excited for, and we want the community to be excited as well. So it's these sort of things that make Necromunda great, where you can create something to your heart's content, and this event is going to make it even more awesome.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's an opportunity to just go crazy and have fun making miniatures. You don't have to worry about how it's going to work on the tabletop or any of that nonsense. Just go out there, embrace your Imperial Gothic and go for it. Create something completely 40k-ish, completely Necromundan.
Yeah. Also, I want to see some Xenos. Let's see some crazy Xenos. I want cybernetic Urgle, or I want someone do some Necromundan Drukhari. Like, we know they've been there.
What about some Necromundan Necrons? Just do up Lady Credo's army. Go for it.
Just House Orlock.
House Orlock.
People have been really angry at us for saying that the Aranthans are definitely Necrons.
Why?
I've had, I don't know. Apparently, people are just like, no. They love Cult of the Bolt. They love They love everything Nathan says, but as soon as Spamuel comes up with an idea, it's like, no, Spamuel, you're a dummy.
No, I do think it was my idea. I'm not 100% sure now. You sowed the seeds of doubt in me, but that's okay. I'll take this one on the chin, mate.
Wait,
'Cause
was
I
it
think
your
so,
idea?
because we're going into the corrections soon. And, mate, I hope you got a...
Oh, yeah.
I hope you got a
Oh,
touch
no.
skin.
Don't you worry, buddy. I've got some corrections for you.
Just one last thing about the community updates. Guys,
Oh yeah, we're talking about that, not me ranting about you.
one
Continue.
last thing. It will become a regular part of our show, so I hope you all look forward to it as we are looking forward to it as well. Anyway, let's go into you attempting to attack me.
This first correction actually came to me this morning while I was at work. And naturally, I didn't respond until my appropriate and allocated lunch hour. I definitely wasn't sitting on a roof responding to Roy from Necromacho. And this one comes to us from Roy from Necromacho. Necromacho Entertainment. Last episode, we did part 2 of the fauna of Necromunda.
Yes, it was a very well received episode. Yes.
Yeah, it was like a couple of days ago. We didn't do giant spiders. Remember how we did it in alphabetical order?
Yes, but I thought we'd made it clear we're both arachnophobes.
Yeah.
So that was the main reason.
No. You forgot to do, and I actually went back and re-listened to episode 1 of our fauna episode, and I said if we missed anything, it was your fault because you didn't do your letters properly.
I do remember that. It was a while ago. I haven't listened to it recently.
Yep.
Thank you for ambushing me. However, there is just one little, I don't know, what would you call it? One little nuance here that you haven't quite addressed, Mr. I've come to attack Nathan on the podcast in front of everybody. Who wrote our episode for that one? Who put all the beasties in there? Who was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm the number one. Who was that person, Spamuel? Your awkward pause is not going to help you. No, still not helping.
And moving on to the next point that Roy...
Amigo, buddy, pal, mister, I can't write an episode. Yep.
Okay, so apparently due to a technical error that was completely unavoidable and can't be blamed on any one person specifically, we've apparently... possibly could be. We have apparently skipped over giant spiders, the Gyrinx cat, and ecrotic slimes.
I did tell you about all of these. I'm embarrassed for you.
Yes, you did. You did. I've gone back through our chat, and you've specifically mentioned also the grapple hawks. Yep, we've missed giant spiders, grapple hawks, Gyrinx cats, and ecrotic slimes. Basically an episode's worth of fauna.
I will say, though, we talked about the grapple hawk. So we didn't talk about grapple hawks, but we did talk about the grapple hawk in the Aranthian Succession, the ruins of Yardley.
Yeah, but I think we mentioned that we had talked about them in our fauna episode. But we haven't actually ever talked about
Okay, so that's a collective correction for the podcast. We'll take that together. Well done.
Oh, I was going to say that was definitely my fault because I wrote the episode. But if you're willing... do not
blemish my perfect record.
Okay, no. Yeah, okay. You know what? Fine. This is on me. We will have to very subtly insert these 4 bits of fauna into upcoming episodes.
I'm sure it'll be very subtle, knowing us, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So of the 1, 2, 3, 4 correction so far. It's 1 Spamuel,
I
0
like
Nathan.
those numbers. Yes. Do we have any others?
Okay.
For me?
Number 2 actually also comes from Roy. This isn't technically a correction, but it's actually a absolutely fantastic piece of sort of on-table rules that's possibly being represented in the lore. Now, it was very subtle when I brought it up, but do you remember when I mentioned that the caryatids had actually left Helmor's
Yeah, I
fire?
remember that. Yeah, the subtleness of it is what I particularly remember.
It's an easily forgotten moment, I know. But I had mentioned that Helmor's caryatids, including Blinky, hashtag Blinkygate, had left the Helmor family spire. And Roy actually pointed out something quite subtle, but also very good. In game, if you lose reputation, a caryatid can leave your gang.
Yes.
And what do you think has happened to Helmor after he's been shanked?
Oh,
He's lost reputation.
very true. Yeah.
So the special rule is called abandonment. And should the gang reduce its reputation for any reason, including shanking, roll a d6 and subtract the number of reputation lost from the result. If the total is 1 or less, the caryatid will abandon its companion. And a natural roll of 6 is always a success regardless of modifiers. Okay, I'm assuming he got stabbed a lot and then had the nobles turn on him. His daughter killed a bunch of their kids. One of his sons got gun-fisted. R.I.P. Angry Goat. That's 4 so far.
You're gonna roll a d6.
I'm actually gonna roll a d6.
Go on, let's prove Roy wrong. Roll that natural 6. But you rolled a 6.
I rolled a 6.
You're wrong, Roy. I want to be on your side here, buddy. But there's 2 reasons I'm not. One, you allowed him to mention caryatids somehow in this episode, and 2, he rolled a natural 6. No,
I'm just gonna.
you can't doctor it.
Okay, no, I rolled a 2.
You can't doctor it.
So,
You already rolled a 6. I saw it. I saw it happen live. So we've got to work out another reason as to why the caryatids left Lord Helmor.
I cannot rant about caryatids again. The number of people that we'll get off this. Get off this. But I think it was. I think
it's great logic.
That it was.
And I think it's great that it's being represented in the lore. However, you rolling as Lord Helmor proved you get that natural 6.
That is the first 6 I've rolled in so long.
Oh, Lord. That's amazing.
Well, the next one, unfortunately, this one's definitely a correction on Spamuel. And it comes from our mate Lachlan. Remember Lachlan, who corrected me on the concept of grand cycles?
Yes.
And last weapons. Yes. I thought he was a dummy. Turns out I was the dummy. Turns out I actually know him. He's actually a great dude. But no, he's my enemy right now. Cyber Mastiffs. I mentioned that with the, I believe it was the Book of Outlaws. I don't remember. I'd mentioned that one of the books was when the enforcers were able to take Cyber Mastiffs on multiple characters as opposed to just Surveillance.
Yeah.
No, I was wrong. Turns out those rules came out with Surveillance. And they were simply reprinted later on.
Okay. Yep.
In the Vaults of Temenos. So that was a subtle dig at Spamuel, and you know what? Hey, he's my nemesis. He's going to do that.
No, fair play. It's a good correction, and to the broader audience, I will say, when he gets things wrong, please let us know. Please, it's important for me.
You say that, but Nathan,
Yes,
I've got you.
Okay.
My boy Lachlan, my former nemesis turned best friend.
That was quick.
has come in and given me an absolute slice of fried gold when it comes to Spamuel Corrections. I'm sorry, when it comes to Nathan Corrections.
Those are rare things.
Now, mate, this one is Kentucky Fried well done. This ain't rare. So, in Vaults of Temenos, we were talking about the effects that the Crusade and the Pilgrimage would have on Necromunda, and whether I believe you said, do you believe it would become like an ecclesiarchal world? And I couldn't remember the name of the designation of ecclesiarchal worlds. And Nathan, you called them temple worlds. They are not temple worlds, Nathan.
Did I?
You dummy. They are shrine
So much
worlds
better.
or cathedral worlds, not temple worlds. Nathan,
Did I?
so this... Yes,
Are
you
we
did.
sure?
I will stake my reputation on
Can we
this,
say
sir.
something valuable,
Lachlan,
please?
I will stake your reputation on this, sir. In fact, okay, you know what? This is incredibly weird. We're going to pause this episode. We are going to listen to the section here, and I'll prove to you that you said Temple Worlds. All right, so we are going to be moving on from Spamuel Corrections. And yeah, if you have any further corrections, please send those to us at Underhive Lorekeepers at
Are you gonna do
gmail.com.
this?
Or
This is the path you're choosing?
I'm choosing to step forward. Things were said. Yep. Someone has said Temple Worlds. You screwed me again, Lachlan.
I will admit I agreed with you, but that's sometimes I feel a bit sorry for you, and I'm like, he's getting it wrong. I'll just move along with him. That's okay.
Yep. So it turns out it was me who said Temple Worlds. And Lachlan has lulled me into a false sense of confidence. Sir, you are my nemesis.
Let's go back.
One day I will destroy you. So yes, it was me. It was me who said Temple Worlds.
How very good. We threatened
guys,
the audience. Great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Listeners, I am not even kidding. I will have a warm place in my heart for the person that finds a Nathan correction and sends it through to... I'm talking not just... This has been pointed out to me. I say dumb things and he just agrees with me. And everyone's like, oh, Nathan said the wrong thing. No, I said the wrong thing. I need someone to find something that he said wrong. All right? He's my co-host. He's one of my best mates. I absolutely love him, but I want to destroy him right now.
I can hear you.
And I need your help. I know. I know. I need your help, scummers. Help Uncle Spamuel. Help me help you.
Turn the community against me. Were we not just talking about our community content section?
Yeah. This is not the community content I want.
This is not it. This is not the community content. Just one last thing about the correction. So, what was the scoreboard?
It's 4-0. Nathan.
Was I on 4? Oh wow, that's bad. Was I on 4? So my memory goes sometimes. I am a bit older than you, so what? Yeah, I was on 4. Was I, or was it you?
I was on 4.
Oh, so that makes me on the 0. Oof, mate. It's not good for you, is it?
I hate you. Damn it. Okay, well, yes. Anyone who finds a Nathan correction, please send those through to us at underhivelorekeepers at gmail.com or through any of our social medias. It's usually me avoiding work.
I will admit, yes. Spamuel does do the lion's share of that. Speaking of our social media, just a quick shout out to our new Patreons. We have Matt from Hive Market Minis. Thank you. Jason. Just Jason. It's
just Jason. That's literally his legal name. It's like Cher or Madonna
or
I don't know. Is Elon Musk his full name or just his first name?
I don't know. No?
I don't know. Elon Musk.
Yeah, he doesn't support our Patreon, but yeah, sure. If you're
He
out there,
should.
Mr. Musk, go for it. Knock yourself out. Jason, just with the power move of the singular name, and the mighty 108th, which is an even more power move. It's like, I've got you. I'm just the 108th. Come at me.
His name's a number.
Yeah, I know. It's scary. AdMech player, for sure. Done. Got him.
100%.
Yeah. Probably offended him now.
He's like, I don't play this stupid AdMech.
Unfollow, unsubscribe. I hate you guys.
All the Spamuel Corrections. Well, apart from me declaring Lachlan my nemesis and demanding our audience take part in a hate crime against my co-host, if you do enjoy the show and you're interested in supporting us, please shoot over to patreon.com/the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast. Scummers, we are 100% funded by the goodwill of our audience, and we do this for the love of our audience and Necromunda. So each month, we are obviously going to have exclusive Patreon-only episodes, as well as competitions, polls on episodes, and other bonus content. Obviously, you can also jump on to any of our social medias, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Liking and subscribing helps us to grow and to get our particular brand of Necromunda lore out into the world. All of those links are in our link tree in the show notes. And if it's not too much to ask, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform.
Yeah, those 5-star reviews really do help out. So
we're on like 35 on Spotify now.
35.
Wow. Yeah, I know. And there's other podcasts that are like 3,000 5-star reviews. I don't care. No. They're not Necromunda. So no. I love that.
That's brilliant. Like, yeah, the 29 I've done I've obviously helped that number grow. It's fantastic.
Yeah, honestly, I got to 6 and I was just like, man, this is a lot of email addresses. Well, Nath, now that we've gone over the fact that we have so many 5-star reviews, let's talk about some places that would get no more than like a 1.5 star review on your TripAdvisor account. Let's talk about some of the glorious hives and hive clusters of Necromunda.
I almost forgot that's what we're here to do, to be honest. Yeah.
That opening's been about 4 weeks long.
Yeah, I know. We definitely took it down a garden path for sure. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's hook in, brother. So first one that we are going to bundle into the old TripAdvisory board is Hive Trazior, sometimes pronounced Trazior. Sometimes.
It has never been pronounced Trazior. Actually, you know what? No. I didn't get on board Delacroix, and it's bitten me. It has bitten me hard. I'm getting on board right now. Hive Trazior.
Trazior. It makes sense. Read it out, people. Believe me. Believe Nathan.
Faith in Nath.
Faith in Nath. All right. Hive Trazior is also known as the Three Sisters in the local Necromundan dialect. It is so called because of its 3 huge spires, which can be seen from a great distance by any traveller coming across the wastes from the south. Trazior is located on the edge of the Great Equatorial Waste and is the southernmost frontier hive of the Great Palatine cluster. Many important merchant clans are based in this hive and is the main trading depot for convoys going to or arriving from the southern hive clusters. Drawn to the riches that can be found amongst them, the nomads who live out in the waste and raid the convoys are a constant source of annoyance to its inhabitants. The manufacturing base of Hive Trazior is dominated by the subclans of House Orlock, but House Goliath has a substantial and increasing presence in its furnace sectors. The Uphive spires are infamous for the many so-called brat gangs, the relentless scions of nobility who take a cruel delight in engaging in gang warfare with the commoners of the Underhive. They are particularly well known for their brightly painted and incredibly rare jet bikes. They race through the thoroughfares and transit tubes, inflicting mischief and mayhem wherever they pass. Just a quick note about this read. I do like that they define it as mischief and mayhem, which it's probably
It's just boys
murder.
will be boys, mate.
Most certainly is not. It is murder and cruelty and all manner of Necromunda things that you've probably been influenced by the nobility who have told you to just call it a bit of mischief, just a bit of no good nicks, getting up to no good stuff.
If you didn't want to be killed by a brat gang on brightly painted jet bikes, you wouldn't have been going to work that day.
That, do you know what? There is a resounding logic in that, but I don't want to hear it. Let me ask you something though before we venture too much further into the hive.
We need to really quickly because it's bubbling out of me. Oh, I've got a gang idea, but I need you to continue.
Oh, right. Okay, I thought you needed a break for something. Okay.
No. I
It's
thought.
bubbling out of you. Okay, let me ask you this. The jet bike on Necromunda.
Yeah, buddy.
Controversial or not?
No, absolutely. Okay. I've seen this argument a lot when it comes to the jet bikes because I think it was the Dark Angels Codex from, was it 6th edition when Samael was introduced on that beautiful big jet bike of his? 5th or 6th? And it was reported that his particular bike, I believe, was one of the last examples of Imperial jet bike technology.
Yep.
Now,
that's correct.
Since then, obviously, the Custodes, or Custodes, if you want to pronounce it incorrectly, they have jet bikes and the like, the Sisters of Silence, etc., etc. But in Hive Trezeal, you got to remember these brat gangs have access to obviously archaeotech technology or almost localized technologies. And in my mind, the concept of them having access to jet bikes, especially when we look at the difference from the time when this blurb for Trezeal, sorry, I almost mispronounced it, was originally written, versus when the Escher Cutters came out. Those things are a jet bike by the very definition of a word. They're a jet engine with a chair strapped to it, and I don't actually think the handles do anything. It's just I'm holding on. It's like when you watch like cowboys on those horses that just try and buck them off, and they're lying back almost completely horizontal. Yeah, that's how I picture people on these jet bikes. But in answer to your question, no. If I think Hive Trezeal and brat gangs, I'm absolutely fine with them having jet bikes. Just quickly, is that the last part of your question?
It is. I do have another question though.
Oh, too late, gang idea. So, these brats on jet bikes, is it the Dark Eldar Reavers on those jet bikes there?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole gang idea. Just brats like, and this is going to be your kit basher's dream. These are, and we had an example of the brats in, I believe it was Ruins of Yardlin, when when they attacked Hera. They were dressed up in sort of like the obvious costume. Was it House Catalyst? Those kids that attacked her?
Yeah, it was House Catalyst. Yeah, very pompous looking. The way they were dressed up, lots of gaudy colours and so forth.
Yeah, the carnival masks and the swords and that sort of stuff. These brat gangs, I picture them almost like dressed up in Victorian style clothing, lots of frills, lots of lace, but also like lots of jewelry. The women in the crazy hairstyles, the men even more so, and they're riding these jet bikes that they've all tuned up to the nines, and they're in these huge gaudy colours, because what gets you noticed more than this amazingly rare and just this incredibly deadly piece of equipment that you're riding around at breakneck speeds and spearing groups of, the nobodies that happen to get in your way.
Not just the nobodies, the commoners.
The commoners, yes.
Yeah. So My other question then, this is relating back to the jet bike. So you believe this nobility, these brat gangs are on a actual type of jet bike then? Is that what you're implying?
I believe it would be a localized type of jet bike. It
But
may not necessarily
more
be.
complex than what the Escher are using.
Yes, absolutely. I
Oh,
think
right.
the Escher, the cutters, in my mind, even despite their description and the fact they have plasma guns on them, sorry, plasma cannons, wasn't it?
Nah, plasma guns. It is
Plasma
guns.
guns. Oh, thank God.
See, this is one of those things where I don't agree with what you said, just for the audience out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I look at the Escher cutters as just pure speed, hit and leave. Whereas I'm looking at the Hive gang, the Brat gangs of Trezeel as much better maintained. They're racing down these thoroughfares and transit tubes. They need to make tight turns. They remind me a lot more of maybe the speeder bikes from Star Wars, but with actual maneuverability. Not just, oh, look, a tree pop.
They were better than that.
Honestly, stormtroopers were crap enough, but scout troopers, like, they had literally, if it was in front of you, you press the kill button and something should die. That's my gang idea. That's my gang idea.
I think we're going down a terrible pathway discussing Star Wars, by the way.
Yeah, true.
Opening ourselves up. So
yes.
I totally agree with your gang idea. I reckon it looks sick. What you could do here, if you look at the Reaver jet bike, and we will, I promise, beloved audience, we will actually get back to talking about the Hive in a second.
Yeah, we've actually got a lot of stuff to talk about these hives, but unfortunately, your boys are known to occasionally just forget that they're doing a podcast and talk entirely about things between themselves.
Yeah.
Look at look at the Reavers.
You look at the kit. You forget that top armor plate, and you just build it based on the seat and I guess the under canopy of that top armor, and you can build just pretty much anything from there. You know, you make it up as much as you want. You keep the spines and the blades off, or you even just trim them back so they just act more as aerofoils sort of thing. So it allows them to maneuver. Yeah. Yes. So what I'm saying is I love your idea. I think it's freaking awesome. But can you play that in Necromunda?
Absolutely.
Where's the jet bike?
Run them as Escher.
Run them as
Escher with cutters. Yeah. Or you literally go them as... You could go as Van Saar with the skyboards.
Of course. Yes, okay. Yep, sorry. I'm not allowing my brain to be imaginative enough. Yeah, righto. That's cool.
Until, I'm assuming, the end of 2024 Brat Gang release from Games Workshop. This is This is the second or third time that we have mentioned Brat Gangs. I'm assuming they've got models ready to go.
You'd imagine so. Like, listening in intently for our ideas.
No, you put it out in the universe. It's all about positive mindset. Positive mindset. For example, pretty soon we're going to be doing a Van Saar episode. Positive mindset.
Yeah, we can talk about the Van Saar jet bikes. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
That's make-believe, like the episode. All right.
Well, you can call that Van Saar episode as make-believe as you want. But one of the great things about Hive Trezeel is there's actually a lot of Van Saar there. So Hive Trezeel is sometimes looked down upon as a frontier hive by those from Hive Primus, or the more affluent hives of the Palatine cluster. Just pausing this here, Trezeel is literally like 5 minutes south of Hive Primus. If you look up that amazing, the cartograph Primus map of I believe it was the Western Hemisphere, the Eastern Quadrant, sorry. And you look at the Palatine cluster, Trezeel is literally right there to the south of Primus. And they're like, oh, those country hicks. Oh, they're in the middle of nowhere. Like, they are not even a full hop when it's the hop, skip, and jump to Cinderak City. You literally have to go past multiple hives to Trezeor to get to Cinderak. And everyone's just like, Trezeor, what a bunch of bumpkins.
Yeah, but we have that in Australia, right? And this is all for all the brothers and sisters in Albury and Wodonga.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's so true. So you have the people, I think it's in the Albury side, who are just like, oh yeah, no, we're from Albury. We're fantastic. Oh no, the Wodongan people. Oh no. They aren't our people.
And for people not from Australia, it's like 5 minutes across the road.
Oh, it's like
you literally
share the same streets.
Yeah, you cross the street and you've crossed states, therefore towns. But these people like Wodonga, oh mate, middle of nowhere, absolute bumpkins. But
it's hilarious. Yeah.
This reputation as an outland city has made it a hub for clans like House Orlock and up-and-comers like House Goliath. The mighty House Van Sar also maintains a presence in the southernmost hive of the cluster and uses it as a recruiting ground for the clan.
Just pause there for a second. I can see the read that you're reading from, and it doesn't say the mighty House Van Sar. It just says House Van Sar. Be honest with the audience, please.
I'll redo that. Supreme House Van Sar also maintains a presence in the southernmost hive of the cluster and uses it as a recruiting ground for the clan. The most promising candidates come from the hive's neo-tech gangs, archaeotech hunters, and techno gunslingers, reminiscent of the tech gangs of old. These young miscreants fight often with the brat gangs of Hive Trezeor, the antics of the two causing considerable disruption to the efforts of the more established clan holdings. House Orlock has especially tried to come down hard on the brats and neotechs, who plague the House of Iron's convoys and disrupt trade across the great equatorial wastes. So far, though, this has only led to more fighting in the lower levels of the hives, brats and neotechs brawling with each other around the hive's great ash gates. Often, an archaeotech will make the trek to the hive, looking for talented fighters, and House Orlock has made protests in the past about House Van Sar supporting criminal elements in the hive. So far, they have been unable to prove any specific transgressions, despite offering a hefty bounty for the head of any archaeotech found leading a neotech gang. Mate, that's just because we are too sneaky. We put the mayonnaise boys to shame with our technologically advanced sneakiness. But before you come up with some silly little response to that, can we talk about, and you can pick which one we talk about, the archaeo hunters or the techno gunslingers? Because I don't know if this has happened twice in a read before, but I've got gang ideas.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The techno gunslingers sounds the most sort of engaging, the most fun thing. Like, I could just imagine them all venerating the idea of how quickly you can shoot, or, you know, how accurate you are at X amount of distance. And do you know when, like, the old cowboy movies, when they throw a coin in the air and they're like,
yes,
that's what I see them doing here, but like tossing, I don't know, a little lizard or something up in the air and going, yeah, knock that out of the sky. I will say, though, from that little read that you've just gone through there, the Van Sar actually sound really fun. Like,
yeah, man.
I'm being legitimate. Like, they actually sound like, because there's sort of that embracing that criminal aspect, not just ferreting around with, like, you know, an old Commodore 64 or something. They're actually they're actually engaging in something. But just a slight detract from going into this Van Sar thing. What I really like about this is the concept that the house is the police force as well.
So House Orlock basically just going like, don't you come here and promote crimes. And the archaeotech's just like, I'm not here to promote crimes. Are you here to promote one crime? and I forget the audience can't see me. He's just nodding vigorously, going, no.
I'm not here for crimes. I'm here for
for one crime.
Singular crime that is vast and ranging.
Mm.
But no, that I love the idea that you have, and this is a gang idea for me, an Orlock style enforcer gang. So they're
Wow,
more like,
you've gone the opposite of where I was expecting. Yes, I really want to hear this go.
yeah. So this is a gang that would not just envisions themselves as, we're House Orlock and we do, we control the roads and all this blah blah blah, and we control the roads and all that kind of stuff. They would actually be a gang that's there to hunt down the brats, hunt down the Vansar Neotech gangs, hunt down the Archaeotechs, keep the House Goliath under control. And so they'd be having manacles on them. You try and, without knowing too much about the war gear, you try and have war gear which allows them to capture. They would have, combat shotguns. They would
Yes.
have all these things that you would associate with like almost like riot police sort of guys. And you could definitely have wreckers as like
Oh
an
man, yes.
like almost like your air wing of your police force, So they're like these elite soldiers who they're the ones who bound after the jet bikes.
Yes.
It's like we know these brats are going to cause trouble. We know these Van Sara zipping around their skyboards. Our counter to that is, our wreckers, but they're styled up in a way that their equipment doesn't necessarily look purely functional like the current wrecker model looks, but a little bit more sleek, like as I say, like an air wing sort of thing. So this elite cadre within your gang. It might be
I'm,
only one or two members.
I'm picturing them like the big goggles so they can see clearly. They've
Yes.
all got like rebreathers
Yeah.
and maybe because they're specifically chasing these bikes and that they've got like lengths of chain. So as they come across it, they can throw it down to try and remove the rider.
Yes.
Like they're like, yeah, the bike will need to be destroyed and the rider will probably die, but you shouldn't have been driving down my street, boy.
Yeah. I did my job. My job
Yeah.
was stop the jet bikes who are causing us grief.
See,
Absolutely.
you started describing this gang. I saw them completely differently. Do you know the movie Tombstone? I'm talking old
Yeah, of
school
course.
Western, Val Kilmer, Kurt Russell,
Yeah.
Sam Elliott.
Brilliant.
One of my favorite movies of all time. I picture the Orlocks basically like the Earp family from Tombstone, where you're going to do them in as you know criminals. These Orlock gangers effectively turned into deputized lawmen. So combat shotguns, cyber mastiffs. Your idea with the wreckers, absolutely. But these are going to be guys that are basically there, literally just enforcing house law on everyone around.
Yeah, so they're a gang, and they would be probably a bit more individualized, a bit more esoteric in their in equipment and gear, because they're effectively a group of shady members, almost on the brink of being outlaws themselves, who've
Yes.
all been given a shiny badge from House Orlock that says you need to get our hive under control. This is our zone.
Not even that. Like, I love where you're going with this. There, hey, listen. You've had two strikes against you. Either you weren't where we needed you to be, or a couple of members of your gang turned to chaos or whatever. Yada yada yada. Three strikes. You're sold to the slavers, mate. This is your
Yeah.
last chance. You're going to Trezia. You're going to help enforce our
Oh,
house law.
bro.
And so
Yes.
they're desperate. They're desperate, and they're basically going there going, okay, this is my last chance. I can't screw this up.
Yeah.
So when they're told these gunslingers and these brats are disrupting our trade, they're killing our dredging class workers, you need to stop them. These guys are just like, get the shotguns. We know they're going to be coming down this street. They do every day, the same time. Gun line.
You
Let's
can set
take
your
them out.
watch to it. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's how
Right.
I'm picturing
Do you
these
know what you
Orlocks.
said something there though? And again, we will get back to talking about the hive, like the bits and bobs about the hive. But the gang's
Unlikely.
cool. Unlikely, true. Yeah, I'm giving false hope. That's one of my main strengths. But the idea that House Orlock would go, all right, X, Y, and Z members, you have pissed me off to no end. You're going to Trasior. It's almost like
Yeah.
a punishment hive for Orlockers. Orlockers. I just made up a new term. Orlockers.
Orlockers.
Yeah, right. That it's like a punishment for them to be sent there, and then you're sent into, where does it say? I think it's the Underhive, the lower levels. You're sent into the lower levels of the hive, and you're taking on neotech gangs. You're taking on brats, and your whole purpose. There's no real like focus on promotion or anything. It's do your time in Trasior, and then see where you end up. You know what I mean? You might be brought back into the family clan, or you might just, disappear down there. But
Yeah.
this gives the Orlocks that sort of like real nasty edge to them as well. It's just like you've pushed our buttons too many times. You're part of our house or our dregs or whatever. We're sending you somewhere where we just need bodies. Like
What
it
was
doesn't matter.
their what was their saying? My gang before my house before the rest.
Yeah.
This is the house giving you that last chance because you've skirted the law one too many times where, someone like Slate Medina could save you. They could put the foot down, or, was it Hagen Orlock could
Yeah.
turn around and go, listen, hey, he's a good egg. Give him another chance. But unless you've reached those lofty heights, you're nothing here. Brazil is your last chance. And in my mind, I'm calling them the Tombstoners. These Tombstoner gangs that help enforce the law.
Tombstoner gangs. I thought you were
Tombstoner
just going to
gangs.
call your gang the Tombstoners. I'm like,
No.
oh yeah, really ticking the original box. But their classification is
Yeah,
Tombstoners.
Tombstoners, because you either survive here or you just end up buried.
Yes.
Like that's how I'm looking at this. Like,
Do you know, I'm having a moment of madness here, but they almost get a badge like what the Death Watch, how the Death Watch get a shoulder pad. You know what I mean? They get some sort of marking that shows that they survived Trasior. You know what I mean? Might even be just a sticker that's like, I came, I saw, I survived. You know, sort of
I
thing.
came, I saw, I killed a jet biker.
Yeah, exactly. But they get some sort of indication that says we took on the militant gangs of the Vansar, and we took on the brats with their increased technology and funding, and we survived.
Yeah.
And you
I'm
have
here, they're not.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Sorry, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, that's it. Like, I'm seeing that when these people survive Brazil, and I'm sticking to this. I don't care who I'm annoying with it. Brazil. When they survive, they come back, and the other gangers, especially House Orlock, but other gangs would know, just from what you've said there, they'll see that, it'll be something recognizable, but they'll see that badge or that bit of flair to whatever the gang is wearing, and they'll look at it and be like, "Oh, you were a tombstoner, okay."
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
you're a tombstoner.
I've got a little bit more respect for you. Like, you've seen some shit. All right, man.
Yeah. Like you don't need to earn my respect right now. You already have it from the background that you're from. But
so going back to that, so you've talked about your side of the gunslingers, but my man, I want to go into the techno gunslingers now, because already Hive Trasior, in fact, all the three sisters themselves, I actually had some interesting like lore stuff to talk about the Hive cluster as well.
Do.
But I'm going to make another Western reference. Do you remember the movie The Quick and the Dead? Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Oh, it was quick, and then you were all dead.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
it's about a tournament where the guy who was effectively taken over the town, he's basically holds a gunslinging tournament where it's a fast draw, like one shot. You got to kill your opponent, and at the end of the day, the winner gets money. And Sharon Stone's character comes in, and there's all these crazy characters and all taking part in the tournament. And Russell Crowe plays, I think he's like a preacher, sort of trying to give away the life of crime. But this is how I'm picturing these
Techno gunslingers.
the techno gunslingers, where you'd be doing them in that have robes that all have ornate pistols, like that have fully customized las pistols and stub guns, like another Russell Crowe movie, Escape from LA, where he has the Uzi with that huge scope. Like imagine like a stub gun, like this little holdout pistol with just this like rifle scope attached to the top of it, and these gunslingers that are all like customizing their equipment, and some of them wear capes to distract their opponents so they can pull a separate gun. And yeah, I'm picturing them as like this mismatched collection of gunslingers and fast draws and like just basically more civilized techno-barbarians whose entire purpose of life is being the fastest shot, because then if you're able to kill those tombstoners quick enough or the Goliath quick enough, one of the Van Sar is going to see you and see that you're worth more than this mercenary gunslinging life, and they're going to take you into the house. Like, you got to be the best to be taken into the best. That's the whole mindset they're going to be having there.
I really love everything you've spoken about there, and I'm totally on board with these gunslinging sort of pseudo-admech things. However, we do have, I think it's a first-time event, we have a live, in-moment Spamuel correction.
What?
What do you mean? Wow, this is wonderful. I'm happy that you're not too certain about what I'm going to talk about either. You just said the movie Escape from LA, yes?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and that was starring Russell Crowe?
Russell?
Oh, I'm pretty sure you said Russell Crowe.
Oh, no, I obviously meant Kurt Russell.
It's too late, buddy. It's locked in.
Okay.
This needs to be sent out to the ether. No editing it out later, just so I sound silly.
It's going to be really awkward when I'll be like, and another Russell Crowe movie. Or I get someone who clearly isn't me to say the words Russell Crowe, and I just superimpose it.
Like with a really heavy Kiwi accent or something. Yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah. What's the matter?
One of my many family members. I'm just.
Oh no, I'm just saying you don't have a Kiwi accent. I just
I don't. No, I don't.
Oh no, you don't. Anyway, moving on. Let me just rehash a little bit about what you were talking about, the gunslingers. I sort of see them in the same light as you, but I'm more as like almost like trick shooters. So
yeah,
they get together. They almost come together because they share a desire to be like the best shot. So you have a gang that comes together that's built around like gang members who have all got like fast shot or skills and abilities all related around that factor, but their guns are exactly what you're talking about. These ridiculous looking weapons, extra scopes on them, cables hanging off where you don't need them, all these little like adjusters and things that they can put onto them. So you'd put like range finders and all that kind of gear on them, and then you'd have them sort of tapped into, bio-linked into their bodies, where it's kind of got that admech vibe to them. But the whole premise is who can pull off, like, what was the movie? Zombieland. Zombie kill of the day.
Yes.
It's like trick shot kill of the day. That's what they would have. That's why I see them. Sort of more flair and less about like, beep bop, this is the trajectory that I need to fire at. But it's more sort of, the player who can do the trick shots in snooker and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's why
sick.
But anyway, as promised, let's talk a little bit about Hive Traceur.
Well, interestingly enough, do you remember the novel Space Marine by Ian Watson?
One of my personal favourites,
Oh,
yes.
so there are actually 3 Imperial Fists, boo, in that novel who are recruited from Hive Traceur. So, Lexandro de Arquebus, Yeremi Valence, and Biff Tundrish, all 3 of whom actually grew up in Traceur, interestingly enough. Hive Traceur was actually spelt Hive Traslaw in the novel.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I do remember that, actually. Yeah.
And we know that the Necromundan PDF recruits directly from Traceur, but also these recruits secretly, many of whom are actually screened to see if they are worthy aspirants for the Imperial Fists. Boo.
Ooh.
Obviously, 3 of whom would be Lexandro, Yeremi, and
Yeah.
Biff.
Yeah.
Now, from those there, Lexandro was actually a member of a brat gang called the Lordly Phantasms, which just glorious.
That's a
Now,
brilliant name, isn't it?
they were described to be composed of bored, sadistic upper hive brats who got together to terrorize the lower levels of the hive, and they wore expensive silks and demonic masks as they bombed around on their jet trikes. So I'm picturing like a cutter where you've got the main engine up the guts of it, right? But
Yeah.
then 2 smaller, almost like pods.
Yeah.
Oh man, but I'm picturing them up the front like a pod racer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. And they've just got like, chains and whips and stuff, and then crappy little pistols and just stuff to terrorize the local community.
Exactly. So those 3 Imperial Fists, Boo, although they were all born in Hive Traceur, they each came from different backgrounds. So
Yeah.
Valence was the son of technicians, and he joined a tech gang, and it was composed mostly of his family members, and they sort of worked the upper levels of the hive, stopping those gangs coming from the undercity. And Tundrish, as a Biff, he was actually a member of a scum gang. Like, and they were called the Spider Gobs, which it's interesting we mentioned spiders here because you might not know this, but did you know there's actually a lot of spiders on Necromunda? In fact, the Necromundan giant spider are a type of mutant spider that can reach a great size in the Underhive of cities such as Necromunda, reaching up to several feet across. Necromunda is particularly renowned for these giant spiders due to how common they are. So much so that the most famous Imperial Guard regiments recruited from the world is actually known as the Spiders. They can be found in every part of the Underhive, from the clogged tunnels far below to the gantries of the highest domes above. Now, a lot of people actually hunt these spiders, especially in the sumps, where the largest and most ancient spiders, their eyes become almost diamond-like in not only the composition, but also their worth. The eyes of some giant spiders, including the giant albino spider, are said to be worth enough to buy the most humble spider hunter his own spire on Hive Primus. Just as a very obvious and natural segue there. Just thought it'd be good.
As a cinder block through a window. Well done, sir. Well done.
That's 1 down, 3 to go.
1 down. This is Hive Life Part 2, Pseudo Fauna Part 3. Yeah.
Yes, part 1.5.
Yeah. Speaking of the giant, no, we're not going to go into the giant spider. I think we've said enough about it. I hope everybody respects the effort we put in.
Mm.
Anyway,
Mm.
I do want to talk a little bit more about Trazior as well.
Yeah, I just think it's great that we actually have these space marines that contract themselves to these gangs we're talking about.
Yeah,
I think it's sick.
clearly the tech gang is, probably the precursor to what the Vansar would eventually become. Do you know what I mean? And when
Yeah.
I say precursor, I'm talking about that at that stage there was no real established law for Necromunda. It was
No.
a planet. It definitely had gangs, but there wasn't exactly what we have in like the N95 stuff. But
Yes.
so it's a very interesting concept from a very old part of the law to say that they've deliberately drawn their gang members, drawn their space marines from these gang members, which sort of, I don't know, implies that the Imperial Fist would take anybody. But anyway, that's a whole different issue. But what I did want to talk about is the fact, the amount of merchant clans that occupy
Yes.
Trayazure as well. There's so many there, and it is because it is. I guess it is one of the it's one of the highs that really opens up to the southernmost areas of Necromunda. So it's sort of like the doorway into the Palatine cluster. And it says that it's located on the edge of the Great Equatorial Waste. So it is where, and it's where everybody would come almost as a first port of call, not necessarily, if you don't need to go there, you wouldn't go there. So it makes sense that the Orlock would have such a great investment in this hive, and
Yeah.
that they want to be pushing it. But it also just means that the amount of money that is in Trazior as well is probably quite significantly more, considering that it's considered sort of, I don't know, like the southern, less likable cousins of the Palatine cluster.
The country bumpkin hive.
The country bumpkin hive, but they'd have so much money considering how many merchants are there, and the desires and machinations of the merchants.
Which makes sense as to why the Orlocks want to put so much effort into keeping their trade going, because it wouldn't be too much before the merchant guilds turned around and said, "Hey, enough. You've lost one too many of our shipments going out. You can't protect us from these brat gangs or these, the Van Sar or anyone else. Why are we paying you for protection if you can't do what we need?" Like it's a bad place to be in if you're losing money in Trezor.
Yeah, exactly. And you can almost imagine, somebody like House Goliath seeing that as an opportunity for them to grow and expand, and
Yeah.
say, we'll do it, even though they would probably do a terrible job against fast-moving jet bikes. But the hive itself, I think, has a lot of opportunity to explore, because it's your traditional type of hive, like hive primers. But there's clearly a lot more tech and a lot more wealth within this hive,
Yes.
even though they are the country bumpkins. So when you're playing a gang or wanting to set up a campaign in these areas, you could have a lot more tech available to the gangs that are starting out there or on the black market. So, maybe modify the rarity rolls that you're looking for,
Yeah.
searching
Yeah.
for something.
Drop your rarity by, I don't know, 2 on everything. Like, you'd have choices as to what exactly how far you did that. But yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, and then show the wealth by having, you might have a game that the gang receives D6 times 3 credits. And you go, no, because of the amount of wealth within the merchant guilds that's lying within here, they actually receive D6 plus 1 times 3 credits.
Perfect.
A
Yeah.
simple factor like that could be enough to make all the difference. So when you're playing a campaign within here, you will obviously have the Orlocks as the principal, and you could actually have them influencing the way that the campaign moves as well. Not necessarily the Orlock gangs. I can imagine if you're playing a campaign and you've got Orlock players playing, that would be elements of House Orlock that are coming into Trasior to almost sort of stamp their authority in a way. Like, as you say, the gang, then the house, you know?
Yeah, but it specifically mentioned that they are sub-clans of House Orlock. You know, like whether they be, you know, families like the Medinas or whatever. But these could literally be smaller, drudging families who owe their loyalty to House Orlock, but who aren't necessarily Orlock themselves. They're simply Orlock
True.
aligned. So you don't have to go that miner slash biker motif. You could do them up as, I don't know, maybe an all female sect of Orlocks, or maybe noble Orlocks
Oh,
from
right.
Trasior, so they look a little bit finer. You know, their gear's a little bit more polished, but they're not Orlocks. They're, I don't know. I was about to say Gorlocks, but that just sounds like a cool corn Orlock gang.
Well, what about Lockors?
The Lockors,
Yeah.
yeah, perfect. They're Scottish Orlocks. The Lockors,
And Lockors.
Clan Lockor. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
So
I love it. I love it.
I think there's a lot to explore with Trasior. I think there, there's so much money in the Hive. There's so much opportunity, and the Brat gangs. I mean, we almost
Oh
really
man,
didn't touch on it enough, but the Brat gangs are amazing within there, and just the concept for what you want to do with them. You can go completely bonkers in terms of that, you know, Imperial Gothic style where you're looking purely at the noble houses. You're not trying to keep that dark Gothic style, but that over the top, as we were mentioning earlier, like gaudy style. But you do it in a way that shows that they're still fighters as well. I think that's the key thing. They still have to look dangerous.
man, yeah. I just keep looking at those Reaver jet bikes. You obviously de-Eldar them a little bit, really gaudy up the pilots, and I'm just imagining them with huge like throwing spears. Picture like that Kurt Russell movie Gladiator. I did that one on purpose. That's not a
Oh,
correction.
I know. He
Um,
did actually interrupt the podcast to go double check it, and then that way he could say, "I did that deliberately."
that's right. But you know the scene where the charioteers, they're in the golden armor, and the
Oh,
ones there,
yes.
the barbarians they're fighting, sorry, the barbarians, the prisoners they're fighting are in just their plain uniforms, and
Yeah.
their numbers
Yeah.
get whittled down. But the charioteers were very ornate, very overdone. Use some of the is it the Harlequin bikes where you could actually sit someone on the back of them?
Oh,
Because I
yeah.
know like the Dark Eldar Venoms. What was
Yeah.
the Eldar one?
Oh, that is the Viper jet
The
bike.
Viper jet bike.
Yeah.
Or the Shroud Runners.
Yeah.
Do those things, but make them a little bit more brutal looking, and have someone on the back with, I don't know, like, yeah, a throwing spear, or, you know, just, oh man, yeah, you could really do
I'm
some
looking at
cool stuff with
one
that.
of the Skyweavers here,
The
and
Sky Weavers, that's it, perfect.
he's got the bolus. You know,
Yes.
that's the kind of weapon I could see the brats using, not because it'd be very combat effective, but it'd be just god awful and annoying. Like, I can't imagine that they're too concerned about killing the commoners, but just causing absolute chaos just for a laugh. Like, it's their version of knocking over the letterboxes, you know, going and harassing the populace by like smashing into them and, you know, basically just ruining their good days. Not
So
that you
instead
have
of
any
knocking over
days.
a letterbox, they're knocking over your family.
Yes,
And
exactly.
but yes, those Skyweavers are perfect for what I'm envisioning.
Yeah.
You drop the Eldar weaponry, and yeah, man, that is Perfection. Yeah, the bolus is great. Those long stabbing spears are perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
done. Skyweavers plus like Empire State Troops equals
Yes.
Brat Gangs.
Yeah. Done. Lock it
Done.
in, Eddie. Yeah. Done ski.
We done with Trizia?
I feel like we are. I feel like we've explored all of it. Do you want to take us into the next beautiful hive?
Oh, another place I really don't want to go on holiday.
I think this one's pronounced Temeninos. Temenos?
Temenos? No,
Temeninos?
we've already mentioned this one a lot. I can't remember what episode of it. Was it the safes of Temenos? No. So we're talking about the Temenos. Now, this is another hive in the Palatine cluster. One of its spires forms the headquarters of the ecclesiarchy on Necromunda, while another spire forms the temple of the Emperor deified. Colleges, libraries, and chapels occupy parts of the other spires. A priory of the Adeptus Sororitas is also located in one of the outer spires, and this spire is often called the Sisters' Tower as a consequence. The population of Hive Temenos are amongst the most pious and devout followers of the imperial cult. Many of the resident clan houses manufacture ritual items for the ecclesiarchy, while others work in the scriptorum, translating the wisdom of the priesthood into the many dialects of Necromunda. Hive Temenos is a major power base for House Cawdor, whose subservient gangs scour the lower levels for heretics cast out from above and make constant war upon any rival whose vision of faith differs even slightly from their own. Temenos is an architectural wonder. Its interior is a warren of naves, chapels and crypts, vaulted ceilings and pillared halls. The diffused light is stained by refraction through crystal. Incense and the sound of chanting drift across the chambers. Here and there, statues and holograms of the Emperor reside in secluded shrines, and from its sanctioned halls, confessors and missionaries are dispatched across Necromunda and to frontier worlds in nearby systems. We have already mentioned Hive Temenos, obviously during our Aranthian Succession series, but there is actually still a lot to talk about regarding Hive Temenos, and just the concept of, and I'm genuinely pissed off they didn't show up during the Aranthian Succession. I would have loved to see some Adeptus Sororitas coming out and just stomp face during the Succession.
But whose face?
Everyone's.
Everyone's face.
Everyone's. Are you an angry lady in power armor? No, I'm not. I'm clearly a man. Pop, pop, pop. Are you an angry lady in power armor? Yes, I am. You are clearly also a man. Pop, pop, pop.
So 57 questions later, still nobody has got it right. Even one of their neophytes. Yeah.
Including one sister of Banner who's just like, yes, you literally told me to stand here. No, I didn't. Pop, pop, pop.
Just embracing her inner corn demon. Yeah.
She just embracing her family tradition of joining the cult of the Bolt.
The cult of the Bolt, baby. That's where the cult of the Bolt would start, in Temenos.
100. I think the Cawdor gang. This is my own headcanon for your gang. The Cawdor gang that found that bolt pistol in the skull, guaranteed they came from Temenos.
Yeah, 100%. They probably went on some sort of pilgrimage or expedition into the skull to make the difference, to sort of go, we're going to be the gang that brings the skull back into the light of the Emperor.
Yes.
But all they found was a really nice bolt pistol. I think we need to mention that a lot has changed for Temenos as well.
What do you mean? What changed?
Oh, well, just a few little things. A couple of the vaults are empty.
Not the vault full of demon animals.
No, not that one.
Oh, thank the God Emperor.
the vault that is full of Necrons. That's right, I said it.
Okay. People still very angry at me for some reason over that. I did listen to it. It was your idea. People somehow still angry at me. But continue. I'm not bitter.
So it is. There's a lot that has changed in Temenos, and not only from the controlling elements of it, but also from the nature of what the city has become as well. So it is almost changed its mindset to become a city that is focused, or not a city, sorry, a hive that is focused around the concepts and ideas that are being spurted from the prophet.
Yeah.
So, and for anybody who wants to know about the prophet, we're not going to go into it now if you haven't already listened to our Vaults of Temenos episode. Listen to that or the entire Aranthian Succession series, and that'll give you all the background for what we're talking about. But it does lead to the idea of, the next time we see a little write-up about Temenos, or the Temenos, what exactly that's going to entail, whether or not it is still it's still the ritual city, which it will be. It'll be the ritual hive, but whether or not it's actually, still run by Cawdor, because in a way it is, and in a way it isn't.
Well, just on what you said about, the future writings about the Temenos and possibly what it's going to say, I actually have a sneaking suspicion it's going to mention the fact that the entire hive has somehow fallen under control of the demonically possessed Ash clan, the Maw below, that has somehow consumed everything inside the hive. Because, as we know, that one unlucky demon who manages to possess said Ash clan is basically stuck there forever. He's not going anywhere. It's just a bad day for, poor Dracobus Nian, the demon of Khorne, who's just like, finally, I'm in the real world. Nope, I've possession Ash clan. And, I live here now. So, sucks to be you, bro.
This Ash clan's in the Temenos. Is that
Yes,
what
he was in that vault full of the demon creatures.
Yeah. No, I'm with it. I'm totally down with it. It makes a great deal of sense.
And he gets so angry that Ash clan just starts rocking, and everyone's like, I'm not going near that. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, it's actually it becomes almost like a showpiece in a circus. Look at this. This Ash clan thinks it's a person.
Look, we feed it rat skins, and it gets really angry.
Not the gangers, the rat skins, but actual rat skins.
Yeah, rat skins, skinned rats. Yeah.
No, the skin of the rat.
Skinned rats, yes.
Oh, skinned rats. I thought you said rat skins.
I did.
Right. This is the same thing we had the problem with the carrier-tip pigeon. Mishearing each other. But anyway, no, don't. Anyway.
Not doing it.
So I have this idea of the Temenos, which it won't make a lot of sense. And I'm going to preface my statement with that. Won't make a lot of sense, but I love the idea of it. So, Colchis, yes.
Yes.
And I prepare to cop Nathan corrections on this one because my memory's a little bit hazy on it. But Colchis was the home planet of the word bearers.
Yes.
So on Colchis, religion was not considered a terrible thing, obviously.
It was everything.
It was everything. But all religions were accepted, all types of belief. And I can almost see the Temenos as being like that. Like you would have the principal religion, which is the Imperial Creed, the Imperial Cult. But there would be almost like a desire or some sort of concept about trying to understand the other religions that are out there. And that would lead down to some obviously dark paths. So, obviously you lead to the dark gods and so forth.
Yeah.
But once becoming so engrossed and so devout to your own religion, and you study it so fervently, surely you would also begin to look and try to understand the things that wouldn't understand your truth or your focus, and why don't they believe which is my truth, which is the actual truth?
Well, that's eventually, surprisingly enough, what happened on Cultures. Obviously, with the rise of Lorgar as, as the all Primarchs did, he came to lead his planet. But I believe it was it the Schism Wars that Lorgar led his supporters against, and they were fighting was it the Covenant? Was the name of the priesthood they fought against, because
Very sketchy on that. I love the word bearers, but I'm very sketchy on whether or not they fought the Covenant. I think it was, but put me on that.
no. They used to be the Covenant. And then the Covenant split in two. Half of them sided with Lorgar, and then the other sided with the not Lorgar, and that's when the Civil War took part. And then at the end of it, it was the Emperor shows up right after Lorgar takes control, and it's basically just like, "Hello, everyone," and it was Magnus was there. Magnus and the Emperor showed up. Yeah,
Very
yeah.
true. Yeah.
All of this, which we're obviously going to go into in our Word Bearers episode of our 30K lore podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
10,000 years ago, Lorekeepers with, I don't know, I guess would we be Atoms? Atoms, Nathaniel, and actually just and S, because we're not full grown yet. But sorry, yes.
Speaking parcel song there.
Continue.
Yeah, for me, I think the study of religion within the Temenos would become something that wouldn't be frowned upon. It's almost like try to understand our enemy, and that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where you can start to really mess around with the concept of the gang idea. So the obvious path is the Chaos Gods, but I could even imagine that a prophet or a religious leader or a scholar is investigating the concept of how the Tau Empire works and going, what is this greater good? But because of his way of thinking, forms it into the format of religious thought.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause you there. I'm happy to talk about hungering gods from across reality. I'm happy to talk about space insects who consume everything in their path. I'm even happy to talk about democracy. I will not speak of the Tau on this podcast.
Why not?
They know what they did. And anyone who knows anything about the Tau knows what they did to those fallen heroes, the Poc Troon. And you know what? No, continue. I will sit here and cry in silence.
Okay.
The Tau of the bad guys are 40k.
Oh, no. I'm not saying they're good guys. No, I think they're actually one of the more evil races, to be honest.
Oh no, continue then. Yes.
Yeah. No, their evil is insidious and their evil is underhanded. Whereas, a cornate worshipping army rocks up and goes, "We're going to kill you all," and you go, "Okay, well, you've laid out your hand. Thank you very much." But the Tau's like, "Oh, come on board, jump on board with us." But now we're going to select who we need and who we don't need, and who's usable and who's not usable. And to me, that's even worse. But anyway,
worse than democracy.
Oh, yes, very much worse so. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm using the greater good as an example, the Tau ethos. You would have religious scholars who would study it in the same way that they would study religion, right? And so they would apply their way and their concepts of thinking to that, and they would crowbar the greater good, the ethos of the the ethos of the greater good into their method of thinking, and therefore they would be able to create some sort of religious ideology attached to that.
Yes.
And then they begin to teach it to a small, select little cadre of their own. And they begin to go, okay, well, this is what we believe in. Only and I could see something like the greater good being manipulated and mutated into something that turns into, we use this as a way to work out who is usable and who is good for us to continue as, whatever house they call themselves or whatever gang designation they give themselves. And they begin to go into other territories and claiming, we want you on board with us. And once they're on board, we say, as a syndicate, as a group, we can do more and we can do this. And, we can the word of
Yes.
the emperor even more. Then they get in there and they're like, well, we don't like that particular preacher and we don't like that particular gang member. So we begin to annihilate them. So I guess where all this stems from is my idea that I see Temnos as not necessarily the great glowing beacon of the imperial cult, but more a place that you can explore the ideas of worship and the ideas of thought and religion. It's almost, for me, it's more dangerous than Gothrel's Needle, the democracy of Gothrel's Needle, because you would have people there who would be studying texts and scripture for so long that they would begin to ask the questions. It's sorry, I'm going to go on another little
No,
tangent.
I like this.
Yeah.
I really like
the
this.
AdMech as well. The AdMech as well do the same thing. They begin to explore their technology and they begin to question it. They don't try and smash it necessarily into the idea of what the imperial truth is regarding technology. Obviously, they do it at times, but they also are hunting for new technology. They're hunting for a new way to understand. And that's what I can see Temenos being.
Yeah.
I know it's a very, very fine thread I'm pulling at here, but for some reason I just see that as like this little melting pot within there. And you could have it, even if it's just a gang of 10 or 20, they would be trying to learn and understand something different than what the imperial cult would be or is.
Well, we mentioned before that confessors and missionaries are dispatched across Necromunda and the frontier worlds and nearby systems. Now, we know that those missionaries, preachers, those who spread the imperial cult for the ecclesiarchy, they go to a lot of these planets and they look into the local religions and worship and that, and they find ways to connect your faith to the faith of him on earth, where they say, well, hold on, you pray to the sun, right? The beautiful orb in the skies. You know that's the emperor, yeah? And whoa, what do you mean? So this particular missionary, he's been studying all these writings on your planet of Nathos 4, and they look up, they're like, we've explored this, and we know that the main religion worships the sun as this being of power and light. He brings warmth. He allows you to hunt. And you go, okay, well, that's okay. I can do this. I can work this into it. So then you, missionary Jimmy, goes to Nathos 4.
Good one.
Yep.
Good one.
Once again, genuinely forgot other names. And you go to Nathos 4 and you go, hey, everyone, and I'm going to tell you that your religion's actually the religion we worship, and it's what's that? And the sun that you worship is our emperor, and he gives you the light so you can hunt and you can look after your family, but you can also protect your people against your enemies, right? And they're like, oh, absolutely, of course you can. Well, that's what the emperor wants you to do. So instead of calling it, Sky Orb, how about we call it the emperor? And you know what? We can do that. And all of a sudden, you've taken them one step closer. And it's because he lived in Temenos and he studied those texts on the religions of Nathos 4, and he's been able to, through his training and teachings, learn how to do these things. He's been able to learn all of that. I really like that. That is that's got a couple of scary gang ideas to it, though.
It absolutely does. But and this is where your mindset's the same place as mine. That Temenos is not necessarily a place of blind worship, but a place of research and study as well. You know, the fact is that the Imperium is technology and religion, and the two don't always mix. But when they do, you end up having some weird misaligned crossover. But
Yeah.
both require study, both require knowledge to become better. And this it almost makes sense as to why Aussie would be there. You know, why would they entomb something like that? Why would they have that there? Why do they have demons, crazed demons, locked up in the vaults of Temnos? Why is all this there? Because they want to understand it.
I truly believe it's not only because of the understanding, but because we know the ecclesiarchy obviously works with the Inquisition, and within the imperial cult, they have everything from, exorcists and experts in demons, either being their summon, their banishment, etc. I think not only were they perhaps looking at studying, but maybe looking at, because we know Aussie had that connection to the warp.
Yep.
Mayhaps they believed it was something evil from within the warp that they were needed to try and banish or just keep at bay. Because remember, a lot of the stuff was in stasis fields.
Yeah, exactly.
To keep it outside of regular time.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where I could see Temnos being a major port of call for auto hereticus inquisitors. You know, so they're coming there and they use it as a recruiting ground. They use it as a place to study. They use it as a place to pick the brains of those who've been studying for generations and generations.
Yeah.
And going, okay, we need this knowledge. We need to get this understanding. And then also, even Audio Malleus would become there if they're holding on to any sort of knowledge or demons or whatever. So you have actually this place on Necromunda that turns into a hive of activity based around the enemies of the Emperor. You know, and it makes sense. You have your religious nutters. Your religious nutters are the ones who are going to find every which angle in which to destroy the enemies of the Emperor. But consequently, that means sometimes dipping your toes a little bit too deep into some waters that are going to turn you against that pathway, even against your own ideology, even against your own thinking. You're accidentally going down this pathway that you don't understand. Also, I'd love to see a Imperial Fist chaplain from Temenos. Boo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that'd be rad. But we actually do have a very cool pair of house-specific gangs from Temenos. We've got one, obviously, from House Cawdor, but we have one from your gals of House Escher there as well. So what one do you want? I think I know what you want.
I'm going to be talking about House Escher for sure. Why would you even ask? All right, let me just jump into it here. Faith is the currency of Hive Temenos, and all who live within its walls must pay their due. House Cawdor holds sway over much of the populace with its religious rhetoric and influence over the local ministorum, but is far from the only player in the Hive City's affair. Cloistered within the lower reaches of the Hive City, far from its usual position close to the spire, are the Escher of the Penitent Blade. Clad in white robes, the icon of the Aquila emblazoned upon their cloaks, they preach the Imperial Creed filtered through the lens of the House of Blades. In the depths of the Underhive, they often clash with the other clans, Cawdor especially, whose rabid preachers view House Escher's brand of Imperial religion as an affront to the doom the Redemption preaches. However, When a true heretic or monster crawls in from the waste, the clans unite to oppose them, their faith in the Emperor unifying them in a way unknown in other Hive cities. It has even been reported that some of the Escher have had their faith rewarded by visitations from the Sisters of the Adeptus Sororitas, whose priory sits high atop Temenos. Sometimes these sisters even recruit Escher to their ranks, though not often, as the Sisters of Battle tend to find the Escher too undisciplined for life of the pious service to the God Emperor.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, buddy.
Mate, clad in white robes, the icon, the Aquila, emblazoned across their cloaks. That is absolutely cool. The contrast that you would create with these, the quite dark and rusty coloured bases.
So, pausing you there.
Yes.
Do you remember in the Vaults of Temenos episode, the Brides of Minerva? Remember
Yes.
those Escher that just lost their minds and just the white robes, and they were just straight up killing anyone. What was it? Murdering anyone who doesn't bow down before the God Emperor's majesty. Remember how I said that Sororitas kill team, the novitiates, were perfect for them? Cancel that. It's perfect for these gals. The Penitent Blade. Oh, please continue.
Yeah, just the idea of them all in white robes with you do quite dirty rust-coloured bases. You do these white robes with lots of white and gold everywhere. White and gold, and a burnished gold as well. And then the weapons, I wouldn't necessarily make them too pristine, but quite almost grubby looking. But then on top of that, you add the Escher flair by keeping their hair wild. You colour them up in all these different ways. I reckon they would look absolutely bonkers.
I want to say their hair will still be wild. Like, you'll have the wild hairdos. But you know how for some reason all Adeptus Sororitas have white hair?
Yes. Oh, no, they don't.
Not all of them, but most of them.
Yes.
I want to see some white-haired Escher, but then they've got, colourful tips. So, the tips of their hair are still fluoro pink, or, goblin green, or it's still just a little bit crazy, but they're or it's half and half, white one side, green down the other.
Yeah, right.
Where they're purifying themselves as members of the Penitent Blade, but at the same time they're I also really love the Emperor.
Yeah, they're saying that, we are devotees to the cause, but we are also part of House Escher.
Yes.
We'll dip the tips of our hair or whatever the case might be. But their concept is absolutely cool. I love the idea that some of them become Adeptus Sororitas.
Oh, man, that's a whole nother rant. I'm ready.
Oh, I see that, and this is my gang idea for that. I see it as a returned Adeptus Sororitas who sees the failings of the Sororitas, who goes,
yes,
their devotion is proper and it's fueled with hate and anger, but it doesn't drive the populace. It is a function of war. I see myself as somebody who's come up from the ground level, and I need to return to that. So, like a soldier who's gone AWOL, but returning to spread the word and the fervour that the Sisters of Battle have, but within the ground levels of House Temenos and within the gang, within the Penitent Blade, within the Brides of Minerva. So you would have a return Sororitas who becomes an Escher gang leader, but not for the concept of power, not for the concept of spreading their particular brand of faith in the Emperor, but to try and spread the fervour and the energy that the Sisters of Battle have throughout the gangs.
I love it. I love everything about it except the fact it's dumb and you're a dummy. No,
Oh no, good
you're
call.
not.
Thank you.
No, you're not a dummy. You're not dumb. I don't want her to be a disgraced sororitas. I
She would have
want
been
her.
great.
I want her to have been told by the leaders of her priory. Now, remove your armor. Go as a supplicant of the Adeptus Sororitas and form a gang of sisters that you can elevate from Underhive scum to, future sisters of the Adeptus Sororitas. Literally go out there and find a loyal group of Emperor-fearing women that we can use as a recruitment pool for our forces. That's
Right.
how I see them, like her going back in and basically saying, all right, gals, here's an idea. We get to kill everyone and love the Emperor and kill everyone. Who's in? And there's just a bunch of Escher like, yes. Yes, because you might not know this, but we lost a bunch of sisters to House Goliath. Like a whole mess of them. And then a bunch of them joined up with that crazy chick Credo. Yeah. Also, did you know they're serving a giant robot man? I don't think that's the Emperor. And this Sororitas is just like,
Yeah.
get the flamer.
Yeah.
The heavy flamer.
Yeah.
That's how I picture it.
I love that.
Because
The
you can-
flamer, the heavy
Yeah.
flamer. I love that.
Because you can then use some of those absolutely fantastic. Oh, what are they called? The Repentia. The Repentia with the
yes.
giant eviscerators.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're,
man.
don't even worry about having them equipped with a close combat weapon. The base body is perfect.
Perfect.
Yes.
You don't
And you
even have to have a chain weapon. Give those girls clubs, or that also the Repentia also work amazing for Cawdor, and I'll go into that later. But you talked about them when it comes to Escher.
Yeah, no, I used little bits and bobs for my Escher gang from them. You do not need to do anything with them. It is a head swap, a weapon swap, remove an arm here or there. That is about it. That's all you need to do. The torsos and the legs work perfectly fine. And you have them, use them as a base model to just put some extra robes on them. Or don't. Don't even put the robes on them. Just have them equipped as they are. Paint them up nice and white, splatter them with a bit of blood, and probably do take them as a close combat gang. I think they would look, because they've got so many dynamic poses on them.
If you wanted to go crazy, you get a bunch of Repentia and just run them as Corpse Grinder cultists. But that's neither here nor there.
True. I will say, though, that one little thing we sort of really didn't touch on straight away was the fact that the faith in the Emperor unifies all those who are in Temenos against outbound attackers, or nomads, or whatever the case might be. So they kind of drop their own nonsense so that they can become unified and take on anything. It makes Temenos an incredibly powerful and strong hive against an alien or outward attacker. But it also makes it incredibly vulnerable as well. Because if the faith is, and we see it in the Aranthian succession, if the faith is twisted in the wrong way, then they sort of move as one giant mass rather than, any sort of differential thought or any sort of individual thought. And that makes them a little bit scary.
I genuinely don't know what you mean there. Can I introduce you to a little concept I like to call the Horus Heresy, and how just a slight manipulation of faith and wording led to, I don't know, the entire galaxy being split in half. Or, I don't know, a good buddy of mine, Goj Van Dyer. But no, you are absolutely right. Just, you change a word here, change a word there, bend the the inflection of a couple of words, all of a sudden you're in charge of a 1,000,000-strong army of pilgrims and you are attempting to kill everyone with the letter E in their name. Wait,
exactly.
that's me.
Oh, wait. First names or surnames, or both?
Spamuel. No, there's definitely an E in Spamuel. There
Yeah, you're
isn't
going.
one in Manvant, though.
No,
Yeah.
I'll let them know your address. You're going. See you, mate. It's been nice.
But yeah, no, like that's it. That's exactly it. Like with just a little bit of manipulation, it's the religion within the 41st millennium is ridiculous in that respect. And
But that shows you the strength of Temenos within Necromunda.
Yes.
When motivated and pushed in the right direction, and we see it in the Aranthian succession, it does exactly that. Now, if this is harps back to what I was saying earlier, if you can begin to change the mindset that, Cain is the god we worship now, not the emperor, or the Cain is a manifestation of the emperor, and an avatar of Cain is the ultimate soldier underneath the light of the emperor. You begin to develop and change millions of minds, if possible, and you have this incredibly powerful religious nutter of an army. Yeah, and it would never overthrow Necromunda. 100%, it never would, but it would cause enough disruption that it would shine enough of a light on Necromunda.
Steve just sat up in bed knowing something was wrong with the universe and he didn't know why. And it's because we're talking about Eldar.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it either, but it's sort of, I was trying to think of some other faiths that you could follow. There's no Tyranid faith to follow, so I was just sort of exploring those ideas. But there is the other gang within Temenos that we should probably mention as well. There's just the small players, aren't they? Who are they?
Personally, I think they are in comparison to our new concept of the Adeptus Sororitas gangs. The divine sisterhood, as you may have them.
I still love it, the idea that they're recruitment gangs. I love your spin on what I was talking about. It's so cool.
In my mind, yeah, but it literally says they're like, we like to recruit Escher every now and then, they're tough gals, but they're a bit extreme. So why don't we pull the the classic Imperial big brain move and manipulate them into living their lives the way we want them to? It just makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, you start them off from the beginning, sort of thing. Yeah,
exactly. Get them when they're little sisters, and as they're growing and aging and getting better and getting deadlier, all of a sudden you're giving one a tap on the shoulder and going, "Listen, I have a mission for you, and you're going to come with me. We're going to go meet with some allies of ours. The ones that have been slipping us equipment, slipping us creds, slipping us armor." And all of a sudden, that champion goes and meets these sisters of the Adeptus Sororitas and is told, "You've been chosen to prove how supreme House Escher is by becoming a sister of battle." And this champion would be like, "Oh my god, I get to serve the Emperor not only on Necromunda but across the galaxy in war. Why wouldn't I do it?" And that's, you've fed one up the line. You've fed one up the line, like.
And they would see it as a valuable commitment of time and resources.
Yes, because you've brainwashed them since they were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like we're creating child soldiers at all.
No, that's my theory is you start the brainwashing early. It's always a great idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to what we were going to talk about. Old House Cawdor.
House Cawdor. Now, it is no surprise that the centre of the ecclesiarchy on Necromunda is also a gathering point for House Cawdor. Hive Temenos is a towering cathedral hive, teeming with the faithful and garrisoned at its pinnacle by a covenant of the Order of the Bloody Rose of the Adeptus Sororitas. Where Hive Primus is a slab-sided termite mound in form, Hive Temenos is a triumph of ecclesiastical architecture Every chamber is a groin-vaulted cloister. Every alcove is a host to a stone-graven saint, and every light well is wrought as a multicoloured stained-glassed window. Though it is rare for a member of House Cawdor to be permitted to ascend to the spire and pass through the Saint's Way into the grand cathedral of the Emperor deified, they nonetheless guard the pilgrim's path from Hive Bottom up to the Great Spire. Of course, even Hive Temenos has its Underhive, where gangs affiliated with the other clan houses battle with those of the dominant House Cawdor. Every step of the way, Cawdor gangers are there to press pilgrim coins into travellers' palms, offer them food and shelter, or defend them from thieves and other less pious hivers. That about half of these pilgrims survive to reach the cathedral is not seen as a failure by the clan house, but rather a measure of their piety. After all, the God Emperor does not allow all to gaze upon his magnificence, so it falls to the Cawdor to make sure only the most worthy get the chance. So this read here really just shows me that even in a hive where House Cawdor are the supreme and sort of dominant gang, they're still a pack of dickheads, because all they really manage to do is be like, oh, here's a fancy coin, have some food, hang out under my hovel. Oh, some people are going to try and rob you and that. But half the people that are relying on them to help get from wherever they're going to, to actually get there to the Grand Cathedral of the Emperor deified, not that many people actually get in there. Half of them die, and Cawdor's just like, well, that half probably didn't deserve it anyway. None of you clowns deserve it either. You stupid pious morons.
This is why the Prophet was so successful, because you already had a cluster of people who were just waiting for somebody who is just a little bit more pious, a little bit more driven, and actually focused upon the devotion to the Emperor, and not just somebody who's going, two out of three ain't bad, or 50-50's all right.
Yeah, it's not even 2 out of 3. It's half.
Yeah,
half.
Yeah.
It's about half.
About half, yeah. So sometimes it's none, but they just go, well, the Emperor didn't want those ones. How do you know that? Well, I shot him a lot and stole all of his stuff, and the Emperor didn't protect him. How can I help that? It's a divine power.
That's actually the perfect business idea. You go to where these people are coming from and be like, hey, you want to get to the Grand Cathedral of the Emperor deified? Me and my brethren here, we're going to escort you there. You get, about halfway. You then just kill everyone, take their stuff. When you get back to where you started, and someone's like, oh, what happened to those pilgrims? Oh man, they loved Temenos so much. They've dedicated themselves to the ecclesiarchy and the ministorum. They don't want to come back. That's how beautiful Temenos is. And all of a sudden someone's like, oh, I'd like to go see the Grand Cathedral of the Emperor Deified. Can you take me? Of course I can. Make sure you bring that shiny pair of boots of yours too.
It is dangerous, and we do need to pay a lot of people to get there, so bring as much coin as you can gather to make sure we get through, because there's only so much money we have. We've donated most of it to the Emperor's cause.
Exactly, and you're going to want to make an offering to the church, aren't you? I am going to want to make an offering to... Thank you for that. And in the back of his mind, he's like, you stupid dummy.
Yeah,
you dummy.
You rich... Stupid dummy.
You rich, non-pious dummy. If the Emperor wanted to protect you, he wouldn't let me kill and rob you.
Yeah, he wouldn't let me speak to you. If the Emperor was on your side, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
But from this, do you remember, once again, in Vaults of Temenos, when all those pilgrims were actually getting to Hive Trezia, the Merchants Guild, where they were all like, oh, we're bullet preachers. You should buy this fancy little... fetish that I've made, or if you wear this belt, it protects you from fire and lightning. You should definitely buy it. And they were basically just robbing these pilgrims. They were lying to them.
Yeah.
Turns out they learned it from everyone in Temenos. And it's just like, huh, I can just lie to people and tell them that the God Emperor himself made this, until like one of those Adeptus Sororitas comes down and is like, are you saying that the Emperor wiped sweat from his brow on this rag? Yes, ma'am. Yes, I am. Pop, pop, pop.
Pop, pop.
And then they take the rag. They're like, we're pretty sure the Emperor wiped sweat off with this. This needs to go into a vault. They put it in the vault next to the demon animals, but just across the hallway from the giant robot Necron Chaos Overlord.
Yeah, exactly. I could just see them going there trying to like clear the streets of all these peddlers, and just having that little seed of doubt in there that maybe this actually is a sliver of the Emperor's armor. Okay, let's not throw it out. Let's not destroy it. Let's bring it back. And they just have this vault full of just corridor trash that has just been gathered. And this poor group of servitors and neophytes who are just sitting there processing, going through, trying to find documents about the legitimacy of this tiny little scrap of metal, or this rag, or this, stamp. Yeah, when the Emperor stomped out an orc, and they actually went and made a seal from the stamp of his foot from the indent of on the orc skull. This is the exact same one made from that indent. They're like, okay,
this glorious example is actually one of the bolt shells fired from the Emperor's own holy bolt pistol. In fact, the maker's mark is still faintly written on the side of it. It says Chocha Colay. Yes, and it's just like a 38,000-year-old can of Coke. And they're like, and it's just, you walk into this, this corridor, like museum of relics, and it just happens to be someone who knows what Coca-Cola is and walks in, and they're just like, what the hell, dude?
The sisters are coming for you.
Yeah, you're pushing that bottle of Pepsi Max slowly into your bag, hoping no one notices.
Like the cola wars still exist in Warhammer 40,000.
100%. It's actually what caused the Dark Age technology. It's a lesser known piece of lore, but it is lore.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I'm sure Games Workshop will ratify all everything we just stated. Then,
if I yell about it enough, the internet will accept it.
That's true. As we know from Deliquation, it has been accepted. I will say though, the whole idea of these, I don't know what you would call them, swindlers, traffickers, almost corridor. It leads to a gang idea, and the thing is, it's a gang idea where you don't actually have to do very much to the gang. Like, you just run them as regular corridor, because they would still be pious and they'd still be, I guess, devoted, but they have a certain amount of devotion to money as well.
Yeah.
So I guess you just try to bling them up just a little bit more and have a few more fetishes and things hanging off them, little icons, clear stuff that's clearly stolen, and then try and run them as that. I almost imagine like trying to get the gang leader to not look like a fanatic, but more of a really shoddy salesman, somebody who, just like a real slime ball, sleazy type of person who could easily convince the wrong group of machine workers that, there is a better life for you in Temenos. All you've got to do is follow me. So, but I can't see the model, but I can envisage the idea.
I can envisage one of them now. So, with like the cult icon, where there is, you know me, I'm a sucker for a standard, but I'm picturing one of these like, what would I call them? Like these merchant corridor that you're talking about has this huge like pole, and hanging from it, almost like a cross, like a big crossbar going across it. There's relics hanging from it, and there'll be like a skull and like a lantern and stuff like that, and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then one of them's just a boot, and it's like, why do you have a boot there? It's that's the holy sandal of Brother Sebastian. You're like, why is it? It's not a sandal, it's a boot. It's like, yes, but his name was Sebastian, and the boot of Sebastian doesn't make sense. And they're like, okay, but why is it holy? It's like, he walked through a minefield, and although he died, his body was vaporized by a plasma mine. This boot survived. And everyone's just like, praise the Emperor. Praise the Emperor.
It's got amazing. Some sort of holy protection on it.
Yeah,
it'll get you out of any scenario. And then what I envisage from this, as you're saying, like if they've got these display of icons, is everything would have a price tag on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I don't know how you would do it, but every item would have a price to it. It's like, yes, these are our most holy relics. However, if you would like to purchase one, we are open to the idea of it. Yeah. I just see them as the most shonkiest of corridor gangs. You're just completely gone away from the idea that a pilgrimage is something great, and all they see it as is their method of making money. Yeah.
Yeah, but in their mind, the purpose of pilgrimage is to find new relics to then take back to Temenos to sell to the dummies.
Yes, yeah. And so they're constantly gathering everything, and they've just got every gang member would be a salesman, you know.
Yes. Yeah, every
almost.
Gang member in my mind has the. Do you remember the Labyrinth with David Bowie?
Oh yes, of course. Brilliant.
I've been talking about so many movies. Also had a minor role for Russell Crowe in there. He was one of those little goblin dudes. I'm just assuming.
He was one. He was doing the excavating, like digging down, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, that's why it was a minor role.
Yes,
because it's a minor.
You dig holes. Is that like an industry joke there? No, that's cool. But you remember when that woman who lived in the trash, who had all the stuff up on her back, and she was like able to reach back? That's how I picture these corridor. Every single one of them would have this. I'm just gonna say like, shop front banner pole hanging from their back, and on these like leather thongs, you'd have different relics that would be constantly swaying in that, and I think that would be cool.
And I see the Jews as like Victorian era street urchins who just like get around, do a little bit of extra pickpocketing. They're real, just like scrappers, you know, and they would know it's not a real corridor gang. They would just be like, yeah, but these guys like live the most lavish life. They have the most coin. I'm going to join their corridor gang as opposed to an actual corridor gang, you know. So
because these corridors, they're pious, but they believe just a little bit more about, you know, what was the name of the that saint of coin?
I think I'm sure it's Gelt. Of course, it's
Gelt. Yes. So these would literally be like a crusader gang of corridor, but they're loyal to Gelt, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, he's their patron saint, so they're like, we can defend the house and defend the hive and praise the emperor. We can make some money at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like their theory would be the golden throne doesn't get golden without coin, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, their mindset would be like, well, to be the most pious, to be the most dedicated to the emperor, we need the resources and the finances to do it the best. It's one thing to pray on the streets. It's another thing to create shrines and icons to the emperor.
Exactly. Oh, I love this.
I think that'd be a fun game. Just the modeling opportunities. I couldn't even tell you where to start in terms of weaponry and so forth. But I think as a gang, there would be a lot of fun, just individual models to make up. But I do want to get onto something else that you mentioned in your read. The architecture of Temnos. And the fact that if you were to make a table for this, or if you were to create even just a small board section, you would have to go very sort of Imperial Gothic ruins type. Well, you wouldn't even want them in ruins because it's not in ruins. You'd have to go all the Imperial Gothic type terrain.
Yeah.
Massive Imperial eagles, and they stated where you've got the slab-sided blocks and habs and all that of High Primus. Temnos is different. It is a giant shrine on the planet, and it's reflected in its architecture. It's not just big plain walls. Everything is done with care and detail of a devoted mass, where you see the old cathedrals and so forth in Europe, where it might have taken decades to carve something. That's what I imagine these tables would look like if you ever wanted to have a battle in Temnos. But
Yeah.
the other idea I have generated from this is, obviously you've got the Necromunda marketplace, yes, and we're
Yes.
familiar with that. And a shop you could have would be a peddler for ruins and iconography and fetishes.
Oh.
The amount of fun you could have coming up with all these tiny little things that you put on display. Maybe it might be just the firing pistol grip from a bolter. And you can clearly see it's from a bolter, but that's all that remains. But it's classified as, something that is revered because it came from a sister of battle, or it could be the hood from a sister Repentia who came down Hive to repent. Something along those lines, without knowing too much about the sister Repentia. But all these little icons you could put into your shop that would just make it so much fun. Each one would tell a story, It'd just be cool. Or even like, and what is it, the fleur de lis that the Sisters of Battle have. You have that manufactured or some way, like even take a green stuff mold of it and create a more battered version. And it's something
Yeah.
down from the Sisters of the Bloody Rose. And all these little icons, I think it would be a blast. Like, I think we've mentioned it before, talking about like a cook shop where you would have all the different meats and sort of other things that they would be eating on Necromunda on display, and each one has a tiny little story to it. But this was obviously in a more religious sense.
Like you could build a bunch of little shrines or little prayer points. Hell, just build like
Yes.
a pole that sits in the middle of your marketplace and it has skulls nailed to it and like offerings at the bottom.
Yeah.
Or do you remember the old the Imperial Bastion terrain kit Games Workshop used to do?
Yep.
There were these little panels and that had almost this like relief of the Emperor, and he had this little shield and that. If you could find some of those and just put them into your terrain and be like, yeah, this is part of the Underhive of Hive Temnos, and someone at some point has erected this little shrine here to either the Emperor or their gang or a chosen saint or whatever. And yeah, it'd be a really cool little way to sort of theme everything.
Yeah, 100%. When you say that about people like pilgrims and so forth leaving things behind, have you ever seen those bridges where people come and put their locks on there and they're like,
Yes.
oh, it's me and Jerry and we love each other so much. Put that lock on there. That's us forever, sort of thing. I could see like
There is no Jerry, there is only the Emperor.
Oh, okay, me and the Emperor, click on there. Yes, big E and me forever.
Big E plus me.
But like bullet casings that they like write
Oh,
a prayer on,
yes.
and so it would be such an easy thing to do. You just get yourself a very thin bit of plasticard rod or something very thin like that, chop it up, and you just have this pile of bullet casings that is left behind. And not like not a ragged pile, but like people would put them onto shelving or some way that
Yeah.
have secured. And it's how they leave their their offering, saying, I was here, me and Timmy we're here, and we put our little casing down, and it shows our dedication to get this far into Temnos,
I love it. I love it. Like just a little, it'd be nothing. It'd be something, maybe your people playing on your board would look at once, but then you'd look at it and just be like, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I know what that's about.
Yes, exactly. 100%. I think it would be a really fun board to play on where you have the diversity and the difference of the ash wastes from a regular game of Necromunda. Hemnos allows you to do that within the confines of a hive as well and not relying on being out in the boonies.
But the way they describe it, where it says here, Primus is a slab-sided termite mound in form. Hive Temenos is a triumph of ecclesiastical architecture. Every chamber is a groin-vaulted cloister. Every alcove is host to a stone-graven saint, and every light well is wrought as a multicoloured stained-glass window. There are not enough stained glass windows in Necromunda. That's awesome.
Yes. Do you? This is just a trip down memory lane for me now. Do you remember many, many moons ago?
You're about to talk about that terrain
terrain
piece.
piece, yeah, which had the stained glass
Oh,
window in. I remember I worked in the store at the time, and when it came out, it was like limited. If you got your hands on it, well done. And I remember we had one in the store that we'd pull out for every like games night and so forth and play with it. And people would just be like drawn to it straight away because it was so different. And it was just something so small as having colored glass or colored plastic on the terrain piece, but it just drew people's attention. They loved it, and everybody wanted to put their sniper in that terrain or put their squad hovering around it. You know what I mean?
I'm
It
going to
was
tell you something
brilliant.
that will make you angry. I think it was 2019, and I was working the secondhand Sunday stall at Arc.
Yep.
For those who don't know, Arcanicon, probably I think it's like the biggest 40k tournament in the Southern Hemisphere or something insane like that. It's massive every year. It's fantastic. And I was helping out at Secondhand Sunday, and someone had put that terrain piece down and was selling it for $50.
You serious?
I turned, looked at it, and went, "Whose is this?" And this guy went, "Me." And I went to grab it because I was like, "Done, here's the cash." And someone looked down at it, picked it up, handed the guy the $50, smiled at me, and walked away.
Oh, oh my god! I don't know its value, but its value in the sense of what it was and how it looks is, I'm not going to say priceless, but certainly up
It's
there.
beautiful.
It's
It is
fantastic.
beautiful.
It's such a nice piece of terrain. Now imagine a board where you've got bits of stained glass happen, and I think a lot of the miniature technology has moved forward in the sense that creating stained glass I don't think would be an impossible task these days. But I'm sure the technology has moved along far enough that you'd be able to create some sort of stained glass type effect. Now, putting that into these Imperial Gothic windows and these archways and so forth, and having that on a Necromunda board,
Yeah. Yeah.
little bullet holes in the windows. It's a modeling dream project that will probably never get fulfilled by the likes of me. But if
Or
there is
me. Let's be honest. Or
Let's
me.
be honest. I do agree that, yeah. Anyway, people know what we're like. We know what we're like. But if there is anybody out there who's doing stained glass on their Necromunda boards, just send us a photo. I'd love to see it. I reckon it'd be so cool.
We've talked a lot about Temenos there. We've talked a lot about Temenos. I think it was about 12 hours worth of episode ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to I want to do some Temenos style terrain. You know what? I actually will give stained glass a try. It won't be good, but I'll try. And that's the Cawdor way.
Exactly. That's all the Emperor asks.
Less than half of my terrain gets painted, so I'm basically running on that Temenos standard of success.
Yeah, that's a success. Yep. I put together half my stuff and I painted half of that. Perfect. Done.
Almost half. Less than half.
Less than half still counts. Still absolutely counts.
Well,
yeah.
That's another great Hive Life episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking about those two hives. So we've still got a few more to explore, though, and I thought maybe we might have got to another one in this episode, but the derailed train was in full flight, and we managed to take ourselves down some pretty nice pathways with both Trazior or Trazior or
Trizia. It's actually
Trizia.
pronounced Trizia, yeah.
Trizia, that's right, and the mighty Temnos. So out of those two, which one do you reckon would be which one is your favourite hive?
Oh, Trizia, hands down. Like, honestly, I went too Wild West with it in my mind, but also I didn't go Wild West enough with it. Like, I genuinely see it as, really lean into the fact that everyone in Primus thinks you're, like, backwards country bumpkins.
Yeah, right.
And these gunslingers, like we were talking about them before, what you said, they want to be the best quick draw. They want to be the, deadliest Dillinger, that sort of thing. Really lean into that and, yeah, make some just Wild West gunslinger outlaws fighting back against those tombstoners. Like,
Yeah.
And then your idea for the tombstoners? Oh. I'm in. Done. I'm also now picturing like Goliaths in those little bowler cowboy hats.
Oh, righto.
Oh man. Or just those giant, like, what is it, like 12-gallon hats? Those giant Texan cowboy hats. I'm all about it.
That would be awesome. And there's some crocs are just like giant stags instead.
Just giant stags. But you know how Goliath have the Mohawks? When they take off their giant 12-gallon hats, they're like spurs for your boots instead of the Mohawks.
The boot, like their footwear, all having spurs on for no other reason than just crowbarring in some American Wild West theme into it. Just go, they have spurs in their boots.
100%.
That is cool. I was going to say yes, Temnos for me is the place to be. As I mentioned in other pods, religious nutters in 40k tick all the boxes for me, and to explore the corridor just a little bit more in that as well, and the Sisters of Battle, and even the Bonkers Ayrshire. It's definitely a place. I think I don't want to say I want to be there, but it's definitely a place that I think to deal with a lot more exploring in terms of the architecture, in terms of the gangs that are there, and just in terms of like the structure and the hierarchy that exists within there. And I think we'll probably end up doing a lot of that in our corridor episode when it comes, which will definitely be before the Vansar episode.
A positive mindset. I'm putting it out in the universe. All right. Vansar episode next. Vansar episode next.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just click the old release button on that one. Sure, buddy. But no, I definitely enjoyed our chat about those two hives. I still will say though that Gothrel's Needle is still the king for me at the moment out of the 4 that we've done. I do like the democracy. So
those spider servitors, they still scare the crap out of me.
So out of the 4 that we've talked about over the 2 episodes, which one do you think is still your, like, I don't know, your premiere?
Oh, honestly, man, definitely now Trizia.
Yeah, right.
It's definitely Trizia. I love this. It's because of what you came up with, where those Orlocks are there to enforce the law, and then just the way our conversation went with it, and it's created this, that Wild West frontier town.
Yeah.
There's one train in a day type mindset. That's what's done it for me. That's what's made me love it.
Yeah, the 310 to Cinderak. Yeah, right.
Yes.
We're going to keep quoting movies.
Yes.
But that had
Kurt Russell. That had Kurt Russell in it, yeah. Or was it that comedian Russell Peters?
Oh, I think it was actually him.
Yeah, it was Russell Peters. That way, yeah. Anyway. I love Trizia. You love Gothrel's Needle. Hey, maybe next episode we'll both have a new favourite hive.
I hope so. I really enjoy doing these episodes. I hope everybody enjoys listening to our Hive Life episodes. And can't wait to get into the next one when we get the opportunity.
Well, mate, anything else you wanted to say before we close off the episode with a quote?
No, I'm pretty well talked out. I feel we covered off a lot of good stuff, though.
Nice. Well, like I said, we're closing this episode out with a quote. And this one comes to us from the Necromunda Core Rulebook 2023. And the quote is as follows. Caryatids aren't what they seem. Popular Hive Primus graffiti.
What the hell was that?
And that was our latest episode of the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast. I am Spamuel, and on behalf of the Lorekeeper team, thank you for listening. Please follow us on our social media pages available in the show notes, and don't forget to follow and review us on your preferred podcast platform. As always, if you have questions, complaints, corrections, or if you are interested in just under half a chance of getting to Temenos, please reach out to us at underhivelaw@gmail.com. Thanks.